Let me start by telling you a story. A few years back, I was playing Commander on a Thursday night at my old LGS game den. I started playing with a few players who I'd never played with before, and they'd never played with each other either. One guy was a very well-seasoned player who's just been playing forever, right? 20 plus years. Another player was definitely new, who's just barely out of high school and just playing with the cards he had. We'll call the seasoned player Bob and the new player Red. About mid-game, Red plays a Fire Elemental, a 5/4 for 5 vanilla creature. I, for one, am excited to see this because it's just a brand new deck this kid has built with his dad, just from cards they had at home. He's really proud of it and is just having a great time. Bob, on the other hand, says, "Why are you playing Fire Elemental? That card sucks." Taken aback, Red just says, "Well, I built the deck with the cards I had at home." To which Bob said, "Well, there's a million different cards you could play that are really cheap, they're way better, blah, 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 blah. Here's this card and this card and this card and this card, blah, 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 blah." And just proceeds to list a bunch of cards that are just better. Bob ended up winning that game. I played with him a different time as well, and he was just so jaded and just came off as such a know-it-all that just people in the store kind of caught on, and they just stopped playing with him, and he stopped coming because nobody would play with him. Red, on the other hand, kept coming back and kept having fun. I'd see him over in the corner, and they're having a great time. And just the spark of joy from this fantastic game just still kindled at his eyes. You know, I'm so jealous of that. He didn't care if his deck was optimized, he just wanted to have a good time. The contrast in these two is very stark, and wherein is where my point lies to this video. Magic players are jerks. I've wanted to make this video for years now. I'm sure you may have had a similar experience at your local game shop, or just dealing with troglodytes like Bob in comments, or just people like that who just ruin the game. Magic at its core is a fun trading card and collectible card game, but the way these players talk they just make you feel so stupid. They make you feel like a complete moron for even trying. They're constantly telling you what cards you should run instead of that stinky old Fire Elemental or that Cultivate, right? There's so much hate for these cards. They'll tell you how you should have played your turn after they've already beaten you to a bloody pulp, instead of throwing you a bone and helping you out on your turn. And maybe I just see this criticism more because I'm a content creator, but I feel like some Magic players just have this attitude of, well, I have more cards than you, or my deck is better than yours, or I'm just a better player than you. Therefore, here's my superior opinion that I'm gonna bless upon you. Let's dive in my comments for lots of great examples. From the video I just put out, 8 mythics you should be playing, which is just a list of cards that I think are neat, that could fit into certain decks that might be really fun. This is not a definitive you have to put these cards in your deck video. The Estriel says more like 8 cards you should be playing if you like bad cards. Guildpact 2056 says, "I don't think most Commander players should be playing these cards. They're fun pet cards, but they all cost way too much mana for what they are doing, IMO." And from some other videos, like the 10 Selesnya cards video, Franzler 2199 says, "Pretty much all of these cards suck." And One Fright One said, "Every day we stray further from God's light." Like, what? In my more power creep short, I mentioned the power creep of pacifism, you know, just as a general example of where Wizards has gone in the last 30 years. But apparently if the card is bad, it's irrelevant anyway and doesn't matter. Con Garth says, "Pacifism has been garbage tier for a good part of that 30 years. This card isn't a big deal." Joseph 1150 says, "Pacifism is a virtually zero constructed play draft trash card. This card isn't much better." And if you make a video or tell someone about a new spoiler from a new set, you'll hear this: "This would be a leak, not a spoiler, dude." And again on a different video, he said, "That would be a leak, not a spoiler." Joke's on you, that card actually came out, so technically it was a leak. Lawyered. And lastly, you might get something like this, which is completely ridiculous, telling me that I said colors out of order and had to spell it out for me. It doesn't friggin' matter, my guy. It doesn't matter if I said white, blue, green, or blue, green, white, or it doesn't matter. Arabazi 228. Like, this kind of thing is just ridiculous to me. Okay, now I'm certainly not perfect, and I've made videos about bad cards before. None of us are without blame here. There are definitely better and worse cards in the game, we all know that. But then, what's the deal? Why are Magic players like this? Why are we so actually about everything? It drives me nuts. I think it might be the fact that the rules are so convoluted that we have to be really precise sometimes, and it's just part of the game. And that's fine. But why are people jerks about it? It's just a game. Not every person in the world is going to be on the pro tour. Not every person has $3,000 or more to spend on a CDEDH deck, or even just $20 on an Esper Sentinel. I don't have a Sentinel. So what's the problem with playing the cards you have at home? Not every deck needs to be 1,000,000,000% optimized with the best cards that have been printed. In fact, I think at least 80% of players just play with what they have in a binder. And that's okay. This game is not about winning all the time. This game is about having a great time with your friends. If you want better decks in your group, build better decks with the best cards and slowly build. But don't put someone down because they have a fire elemental in their deck. Like, who cares? Do you know how many times I've booted up Spell Table to see dozens upon dozens of games that just want a pre-con power level? People just have what they have, or just have a pre-con or whatever it is. They just want to play a fun game. They're not concerned with optimizing the deck. They just want to play. So if you're that guy who comments on videos and tells people that their deck sucks because certain cards, or that's not the proper way to build a deck, take a step back and think to yourself, why am I telling this person off? Why are you going and telling people in a comments section, that card sucks, I hate it, therefore everybody else should hate it? Who friggin' cares? Like, for real, I'm so baffled by this just negative comments on these cards. It's like, I don't play them. If you don't like it, don't play it. But why are you being upset at somebody else for playing those cards or thinking that card is neat? You're definitely coming across as a jerk, even if you don't mean it. Instead of saying, boy, Fire Elemental really sucks, you should take that out of your deck, it's just making your deck worse, you're never gonna have fun. Try saying this: hey, I like the art of that card. Is there any particular reason you run that card? Or, hey, I've got this other card you can have that will upgrade your deck. Think about the other person's feelings before tearing into them about why you play the game better. Take a step back and think, why red? Why does red like the game? Does that person have the same goals as you? Does that person have the same amount of money that you do? If you're in a tournament setting, I can totally see some constructive criticism, which I've definitely received multiple times in different drafts and events from awesome players. This feedback can make you a better player in the long run during these tournaments to help you win more, because that's the actual goal of those games. But if you're sitting around a table with some random people at a game store playing Commander, don't immediately try and tell the other person across from you that they're wrong and their deck sucks, that card sucks, you suck. Just have a good time. Stop worrying about all that. You'll have a much better and less stressful life that way. Okay, I've rambled on for far too long, but I hope where I'm coming from makes sense. It's just been driving me crazy for years. I wanted to get that off my chest. Be the bigger person and let these things go. Just stop dictating the game. Every single card is subjective and they can fit somewhere, and I truly believe that. So with that, I'll catch you all next week for your weekly dose of magic.